Hollywood is bracing for what could be its first strike in 15 years, as the majority of writers at the Guild of America union have voted to authorize a walkout. This, as you can imagine, could have a major impact on film, television production, studios, and streamers. The last strike in 2007 cost $6 billion, and something many say the industry just cannot afford. For more, we are joined by film critic Rad. Nice to have you back here, Rad.
Thanks for having me.
Although the topic maybe not so great. What is the latest on the strike negotiations?
Well, so basically, the members of the membership of the WGA, the Writers Guild Union, 98% of them basically voted in favor of a strike, right? And that's, you know, that's not wishy-washy. They want to go for it, right?
Why?
And yeah, I mean, so basically, well, why? I mean, there's a couple of reasons as to why. Basically, this has built up tension from a lot of the negotiations and the way pay structures were changed when the streamers came about. Basically, so basically, like when you think about it, you know, the old days, a writer writes a TV show or a movie, it plays on TV, it has multiple plays in different formats, and they get residuals over the years, right? But when streaming came along, you know, streaming doesn't reveal the viewership numbers, right? And streamers tend to buy the lifetime rights. So that's why instead of like paying residuals, they're like, no, we're gonna pay you a lot of money up front. So when you hear about like how Netflix paid $450 million for 2 Knives Out movies, or Apple paid $25 million for Coda, that's because they're buying the lifetime rights and they will never get residuals. The problem for a writer is that they rely on those residuals, especially for like, you know, just getting their healthcare benefits. Like on a year-to-year basis, those residuals pay into the minimums for their healthcare benefits and stuff like that. So that's one thing. That's one built-up tension. There's also just like the way, like the way they're just not making less money because of other changes. Like if you think about like television sitcoms. Yeah. Friends used to have like 22, 25 episodes. Writers would get paid per episode. Now a sitcom has 10 to 12 episodes, right? So there seems to be more shows, but less regularity. And then you also get the studios and the streamers, they're also kind of manipulating kind of the writers' room structures. They have this thing called mini rooms, which is they pay less writers, less amount of money to kind of hash out the details before an official writers' room, and they're relying on them to do even more and more work.
Interesting.
So that, like, and for less money. And so all of it basically accumulates to the fact that writers are making way less than they used to, even though there's so much more content.
Is there a fear over AI in this story, that the studios are going to start to implement that if the writers walk?
Well, now there is. Now that you said that to me, I haven't heard that. I mean, one of the fears, I mean, like that is actually, I mean, it does feel like AI and ChatGPT could write all the scripts right now because they always just take one thing and another and hash out a new script, right? But the other fear, besides just the writers, is that all of Hollywood is watching these writers. So the writers deal comes up May 1st. Soon after that is the director's deal and the actor's deal. And all the directors and the actors are watching the writers, and they're watching how their deal plays out because they make strike as well. And then you have an entire industry shutdown.
So let's talk about that. We're heading into summer blockbuster season. What does this do to production if they walk out?
Well, I mean, the initial, like, what's going to get shut down initially is the talk shows. It's like Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel won't have a monologue, right? So first you're going to see them shut down. Then you're going to see the daytime soap operas and stuff. In terms of Hollywood productions and the big TV shows, they have some of their banked scripts, so they'll be able to hack it for a while if this continues. But eventually you might see, like this week, you might see Hollywood start changing their schedule around. Like maybe some of our year-end 2023 stuff we have to move to 2024 just in case we have no content then, right? And then, you know, so like actually right now you're probably seeing a lot of Hollywood writers race to finish their scripts so that they could like go into production before the writer strike. And that's what happened the last strike. You know, like if you think of a movie like Quantum of Solace, the Bond movie, everyone trashed that movie because it sucked. But it's actually, if you watch that movie, it's pretty good up until it just ends. And that's probably because like they ran out of time before the writer strike, and so they just like, oh, let's just write an ending to it and get it out there. So you probably get a lot of that.
So trying to look on the other side of this then, if we see a complete shutdown in Hollywood, does that benefit Canada at all?
I mean, it did last time, right? So like at the 2007-2008 strike, when Hollywood shut down, that's when all of a sudden a Canadian show like Flashpoint became acquired by CBS. And Flashpoint, you know, that kind of
great show.
Yeah, well, and then it opened the doors for more Canadian productions to then end up and get nabbed by Hollywood, by the U.S. networks. The thing is, it opened the door, so now Canadian productions are more regularly being produced for American TV. So how much of a benefit we might see? We may see now more Canadian shows, secure American deals, but how much of a benefit is just to say, because we're already producing so much for the U.S.
Do you know what I remember about the last writer's strike? They did mashup shows. Remember, because there were no writers to write the shows, so they just did all these like flashback shows. Because remember Friends? They just did a whole mashup show. They were doing so many reruns. Oh, and you're also going to see more of a proliferation of reality TV shows because they don't need scripts. Well, I mean, that's another segment, whether or not that's scripted. All right, Rad, thanks for being here. We'll keep an eye on it. Check in with you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.